Hey guys, welcome to another Jurassic World Alive video. Today we're going to look at spawns, and we're going to do two separate videos on this topic because the spawns for early game and late game are quite different, what you are trying to get in terms of the, better dinos early game and stronger dinos late game. So, yeah, let's go into this. We'll start from the least desirable zone and then move up to the best one. And at least for the early game spawns, none of these zones are particularly bad. They all got their strengths and weaknesses, so we're gonna talk about both of those while going over each zone. So coming at up at number 4, we got poor local 1. Local 1, it has some really decent dinos. For example, Delta. Delta is probably arguably the best of the Raptor pack. And, every zone but Local 4 has one Raptor pack. Local 4 has Draft Titan instead. So there's that. Delta is really, really good, obviously. Kentro and Sino are really good standalone epics. Kentro, it's a decent tank with instant distraction, also with the 0.5 counter and really high base damage, also Thagomizer. It doesn't have armor though, which is kind of a letdown, but it does enough offensively to warrant not having too much armor or armor at all. And then Ceratops are really good stunner. Oh, one more thing is that we're not going to talk about these epic hybrids that spawn. Since their spawn rate is so low, it's almost irrelevant to talk about them. Like, you'd probably get like a legendary before you could create one of these epic hybrids by just seeing them in the wild. So there's that, and yeah, the epics are good in Local 4. Delta's really strong. Dino Kairos is a really good common, super fast speed, rampage on turn 1, speed up strike, really good dino. And then everything else is just mediocre. Like, Argentino's good, but it could easily get replaced by a Margosaur, so that's why, the sauropod here isn't that great. The Metrodon is really good, but its use is a bit more limited. And then the rare hybrid that it has, Magindasuchus, is a very niche dino. It has a really good use against Indominus Rex, but other than that, all it does is output a lot of turn 2 damage while being kind of frail, because the trade-off for Magindasuchus is kind of bad, I'd say, so that's why we do have it as a lesser desired rare hybrid, I guess. All the rare hybrids are good, but Magindasuchus is kind of one of the lower ones we have here, so there's that. The Metrodon Gen 2, you could make Monolo Metrodon, but we're not talking about that since we are talking about early game dinos, so we're excluding legendaries. So it's just, commons to epics, including epic hybrids, which, does Local 1 even have an epic hybrid? Mega, no, that's legendary. Dimetrodon, Post-Dimetrodon, okay. Okay, Local 1 could make Post-Dimetrodon, so that's a really good epic hybrid, obviously. And yeah, that's number 4 on the list. And by the way, Local 1, although it's number 4, it's still really good local to be in, even in early game. So, moving on, number 3, we'll go to Local 3. And this is why. The epics are really, really good here. Spino Gen 2, Erlikosaurus, and Monlophosaurus, they're all really good epics. Erlik, obviously, turn 1 Rampage, 129 speed, minimal speed up, and can run. Also, a Monlophosaurus, Distracting Rampage, and then also has the double distract for the 0 damage thing. And Spino Gen 2 Lethal Wound, really strong, obviously. Okay speed, I think it's 122 speed or something. And HP isn't horrible. So, Spino Gen 2 also really good epic. The rare Raptor here isn't that great. Echo's not that great in comparison to the other ones. But, Local 3 excels in other ways. Allosaurus is a good common to have, although it is interchangeable with Tarbosaurus to an extent. If you live in the other locals, I would probably use Allosaurus over Tarbo, but if you're in the other locals and you need a Chomper and you got a Tarbo, it's not too big of a difference. Diplo Gen 2 is not bad. Imanto is fodder. Tujangosaurus is okay-ish. It's not as good as Kensho, but it does function a bit differently. Triceratops Gen 2 is not that great. Postosuchus is incredible. Postosuchus I'm pretty sure still has the highest turn 1 damage in the whole game. So there's that. And then Diplodocus isn't horrible, but it does fuse into Diplodator, which is really good. Rare hybrid. So we do have that for Local 3. Also, Postosuchus, like Local 1, can turn into Postmetrodon. So, actually, Local 1 and Local 3 aren't that far apart, unlike the next two locals. But I would say Local 3 slightly edges it out, just because it has better epics than Local 1. It does have better rares. The Local 1 rares aren't that momentous. The Dilophosaurus is okay. Forgot about that. But, you know, Local 3 does have Postosuchus and Tujangosaurus, which are really good rares. And then the commons. Local 1 only has Deinonychirus as a decent common. And Local 3 does have both Aloe and Diplo, which can hybrid into Diplodator. So that's number 3. So, moving on to our second last one. And there's only 4, so it's not too long of a list. We go to Local 4. Local 4 has some really, really good dinos. Raja, really strong epic. Anki is okay-ish, not that great. Coolosuchus is a good epic. Spinosaurus is good. It also hybrids into Spinotaraptor, which is a very, very good epic hybrid. Has, you know, Gashing Wound, has Distracting Rampage. Okay-ish speed. Not too much HP, but it does have Distracting Rampage to make up for it. Critical Impact, a really strong move. Warhosaurus, one of the strongest rare hybrid or non-hybrid rares in the game. Draft Titan could be easily replaced by Brachiosaurus. Parasaur, not that great. It has good. It's good for hybrid material, but those are, you know, above legendary, so we're not going to talk about those. Condor, not that great. Coolosuchus Gen 2, really good. Mono Gen 2, not great. But then Suchomimus by itself is okay-ish, but it hybrids into one of the best dinos in the game, Suchotator, with Irritator Gen 2, which is global. So you got, like, one of the best dinos in the game that isn't legendary. This is probably the second strongest dino in the game that's under legendary, Suchotator, that is. And you also got one of the best non-hybrid rares in the game, in Warhosaurus. So that's Local 4, and again, Rajasaurus is always good, Coolosuchus is good. So, Local 4, pretty decent. And then now, number 1, which, you know, that's quite obvious, is Local 2. Local 2 is really, really strong. So, let's first go over the epics. Pyraptor, a really, really good raptor. I use Pyraptor over Charlie, to be honest. Charlie isn't that great. 129 speed is good. The damage is really good. Charlie does have higher damage. Its moves are okay-ish. Crit impact isn't that great. It is good if you get a crit, but it's only 45%. So I wouldn't be counting on it too much. But then Pyraptor does have that double distract, so it's really good in that case. Tynontosaurus isn't bad, but it's not too great either. Aranosaurus is a really good epic. I think I've said that before, but I might not have. Then you have Gorgosaurus, which is okay-ish by itself, but it also hybrids into Gorgosuchus, which is a really strong epic hybrid. And then Urloco Gen 2, really, really strong, standalone, rare. Dracorex, not that great. Aeneosaurus does hybrid into Aeneosuchus, really strong, rare hybrid. And then Euphocephalus, one of the best early game tanks. And now, the final dino in Local 2, Dracorex Gen 2. Top 10 strongest dinos in the game. It's in Local 2, super makes Local 2 just miles better than Local 4 for, beginners and even for late game. Obviously, this is a very, very strong late game dino as well that fits into a lot of end game teams at the moment. So, yeah, there we go. As I said before, all of these are really good for early game. They all have stuff going for you. Like, even in, Local 1, you still have Delta. That's a very, very strong rare. And you also have, Kentro's a good epic. Dinochirus is an okay-ish common. And then, And then, in Local 2, which is the best one, it's absolutely busted for beginners. So, yeah. That's it. That's my 2 cents on which locals are the best for your early game team, just under legendaries before you get legendaries. And, yeah. Hopefully you guys enjoyed that. And do tell me which ones you think are better. It's hard to argue that Local 2 isn't the best one, but, which one's number 2 or number 3? Because I had some arguments with myself about which one would be better, Local 1 or Local 3. These two are really close. Local 4, Local 2, not so much. So, there's that. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. Subscribe if you're new, and I'll see you guys in the next one.